Captain Mark Reynolds, a seasoned rescue pilot with more than 2 decades in the sky, stood near the humming engines of the helicopter, his gaze sharp and scrutinizing. The helicopter base was alive with the clatter of boots, the whirring of rotors, and the low murmur of pilots exchanging updates. Among them was Emily Carter, the new co-pilot, a young woman with a quiet determination etched into her face. She adjusted her flight jacket, fingers trembling slightly, but her eyes steady. Mark's voice cut through the din, carrying a weight that seemed heavier than the usual command. "Emily, I've been watching you since you arrived. Flying is not just about knowing controls. It's about instinct and experience. I'm not convinced you have what it takes." His words were blunt, almost dismissive, and they hung in the air like a cold wind. Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. She had anticipated skepticism. The world of rescue pilots was not known for its softness, especially to newcomers, and doubly so to women. But the sting of Mark's doubt wasn't just professional. It felt personal. She swallowed the urge to respond with sharp retorts and instead met his gaze. "Captain, I respect your experience. I want to learn, and I'm ready to prove myself." Her voice was steady, but beneath it, a fire burned. Mark shook his head slightly, unconvinced. "This isn't a classroom. Lives are on the line. I hope you understand what that means." Around them, the rest of the crew exchanged glances. Mark's reputation was well known. He was a pilot who demanded perfection and had little patience for mistakes. Emily sensed the tension, the invisible barrier Mark had erected that isolated her. She felt it in every look, every whispered comment behind her back. Yet, she refused to let it break her. As the briefing room filled, Emily reviewed the mission plans, her fingers tracing the topographic maps spread before her. Her background in aviation was solid. Years of training, countless hours on simulators, and a record of successful flights in challenging conditions. But none of that seemed to matter here. This was about earning respect in the air, in the moments that mattered. Mark's voice echoed again during the training exercise. "We'll run through a routine hover near the ridgeline. I want you to take the controls, but remember, it's my call if things get dicey." His tone was sharp, a biting reminder of the hierarchy. Emily nodded, climbing into the co-pilot seat with a calm she did not fully feel. The helicopter's engines roared to life, vibrations humming through the cabin. As they lifted into the sky, Mark's eyes never left her hands on the controls, scrutinizing every movement. "Too slow on the collective," he snapped, his voice tight. "You're hesitating. In a real rescue, hesitation can be fatal." Emily's grip tightened, the sting of his criticism burning her cheeks. But she steadied herself. "I'm adjusting for wind shear," she replied evenly. "It's stronger than the forecast indicated." Mark scowled but said nothing more, his silence heavier than any rebuke. The training flight continued, tension thick in the cramped cockpit. Emily fought the rising tide of self-doubt, reminding herself of every lesson, every hour spent perfecting her craft. She was here to prove more than her skill. She was here to prove her worth. Back on the ground, the team gathered, the mood somber. Mark's doubt had cast a shadow that seemed to linger. Emily stood slightly apart, feeling the weight of isolation. Yet, beneath that weight, her resolve hardened. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. "Base to all units. Emergency mountain rescue needed. Hikers stranded on the North Ridge. Coordinates incoming. Conditions dangerous. Immediate response required." The room shifted instantly from tension to urgency. Mark's eyes flashed with renewed focus. "This is it." His voice was clipped, a command that left no room for hesitation. Emily's heart pounded. This was the moment she had been waiting for, an opportunity to step beyond doubt, beyond skepticism. She caught Mark's gaze, steady and unwavering. "Captain, I'm ready to assist. I want to take the lead if you'll allow it." Mark hesitated, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. "You? The lead? This isn't a training exercise." Emily nodded. "I understand the risks. But I'm ready." For a long moment, Mark studied her, the silence stretching thin. Then, with a curt nod, he said, "Fine. You're up." The team moved swiftly, prepping the helicopter for the mission. Emily's fingers worked quickly, verifying systems, running through checklists with focused precision. The helicopter's blades began to spin, slicing through the thick mountain air as they lifted off toward the North Ridge. Inside the cockpit, Mark's usual critical demeanor was softened by a cautious watchfulness. He monitored Emily's every action, ready to intervene but also, perhaps, willing to see what she could do. Emily's mind raced, balancing the demands of the mission with the weight of proving herself not only to Mark but to the entire crew. The mountain loomed ahead, jagged and unforgiving, cloaked in swirling mist. The radio crackled with updates from the stranded hikers, their voices anxious but hopeful. As they neared the ridge, Emily's hands steadied on the controls. She adjusted altitude and speed with practiced ease, navigating the turbulent air currents that whipped around the peaks. Mark's voice broke the silence. "You're handling the downdrafts well. I'll give you that." Emily allowed herself a brief flicker of satisfaction, but stayed focused. The rescue required precision. Every second mattered. The helicopter hovered near a narrow ledge where the hikers were trapped. The wind howled, threatening to destabilize the aircraft. Emily's eyes flicked between the instruments and the precarious terrain outside. "Lower the winch," Mark instructed. "Steady now." Emily maneuvered the helicopter with care, inching closer as the winch cable descended. The hikers grasped the cable one by one, their faces etched with relief and fear. Mark's tone shifted, a trace of respect threading through his words. "You're doing fine. Keep it steady." Emily's heart pounded, but her hands remained sure. Each successful lift of a hiker bolstered her confidence. The mission was no longer just about skill. It was about trust, earned in the unforgiving sky. As the last hiker was safely aboard, Emily guided the helicopter away from the cliff, navigating the turbulent air with a newfound assurance. Mark's earlier doubts seemed to fade, replaced by a grudging admiration. Back at the base, the team gathered around the helicopter. The atmosphere changed. Emily stepped out, her face flushed with the adrenaline of success, but also with the quiet pride of having faced doubt head-on. Mark approached, his expression unreadable. He paused before speaking, his voice low but sincere. "You did good today, Carter. Maybe I misjudged you." Emily met his gaze, a small smile breaking through. "Thank you, Captain. I'm just getting started." The helicopter's rotors slowed to a stop, the rumble fading into the background noise of the base. Emily Carter sat silently in the co-pilot's seat, her hands still resting on the controls, heart still racing from the adrenaline of the mountain rescue. Outside, the team gathered, their faces illuminated by the golden light of the late afternoon sun. The air was thick with a quiet energy, relief, exhaustion, and something else, respect. Captain Mark Reynolds stepped forward, his usual stern expression softened by something almost like pride. The crew's chatter dimmed as he raised his hand, drawing their attention. Today's mission was a success because of precise flying and quick thinking. Mark began, his voice steady and clear. Emily Carter showed exceptional skill and leadership in conditions that would have challenged even the most seasoned pilots. This rescue is dedicated to her bravery and professionalism. A ripple of surprise passed through the group. Emily's breath caught. Mark's public acknowledgement was more than she had dared hope for. His words, spoken with genuine conviction, broke the invisible barrier that had separated her from the team since her arrival. The crew exchanged nods and murmurs of approval. Faces that had once held doubt now reflected admiration. One by one, they stepped forward, clapping Emily on the back, offering congratulations. The transformation was palpable. The team, once divided by skepticism, now united in celebration of her accomplishment. Emily's eyes scanned the faces around her, pilots, medics, support staff, each person a reminder of the lives saved today through collective effort. But it was her moment, earned through determination and skill. The weight of isolation lifted, replaced by a sense of belonging. Mark's gaze lingered on her, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. For the first time, he saw not just a co-pilot, but a trusted partner. "You flew with precision, Carter, and that makes all the difference." His voice was low but sincere, carrying the respect that words alone often failed to convey. Emily nodded, a warmth spreading through her chest. "Thank you, Captain. I couldn't have done it without the team." The team's response was immediate and genuine, a chorus of agreement. They weren't just colleagues now. They were a crew bound by shared experience and mutual respect. Later, as the sun dipped behind the mountain peaks, Emily found herself alone in the hangar, the quiet hum of the evening settling around her. She reflected on the day's events, the doubt she had faced, the tension that had threatened to overwhelm her, and the moment when skill had spoken louder than prejudice. Her mind drifted back to the rescue. The precarious ledge, the howling wind, the faces of the stranded hikers. Their relief and gratitude had fueled her resolve. She realized that proving herself wasn't just about personal victory. It was about honoring the trust placed in her by those who depended on her. Mark entered the hangar, his footsteps echoing softly. He paused beside her, watching the thoughtful expression on her face. "You've changed the way this team sees things," he said quietly. "And maybe even changed me." Emily looked up, surprised by the admission. "I just wanted a chance to show what I can do." "You did more than that," Mark replied. "You showed us all that skill and courage come in many forms." The two stood in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken respect filling the space between them. Outside, the night crept in, stars twinkling above the rugged peaks. Emily felt something shift within her, a new chapter unfolding, marked not just by survival, but by triumph. As the team prepared for the next mission, the camaraderie was different now. Emily's place was no longer questioned. It was earned and celebrated. The rescue had become more than a test. It was a turning point. Mark gathered the crew once more, his voice carrying authority and warmth. "Today, we witnessed what happens when doubt is met with determination. Let this be a reminder. Every member of this team matters. Every skill counts. And every life we save is a testament to our commitment." The team responded with nods and murmurs of agreement, the atmosphere charged with renewed purpose. Emily felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey ahead would have its challenges, but she knew now that courage and competence would guide her through. She looked to Mark, a silent promise passing between them, a promise of trust, respect, and shared mission. As the base settled into the quiet of night, Emily stood ready, her resolve stronger than ever. The mountain rescue was not just a successful mission. It was a declaration of honor and solidarity, a story of overcoming doubt through action and the power of recognition. The helicopter blades cut through the night air once more, carrying with them the promise of hope and the unbreakable spirit of a team united.